Hey everybody, this is Eli Freestone, and you're watching my Week 1 reflection video for mobile game design term 1411. This week I started my Astro Blaster game, which I ended up building with the Sprite Kit framework. CocoaS 2D was my original choice, although I did run into some issues with that, unfortunately. With the newest version of Xcode and the newest version of CocoaS 2D, you're required to use what's called Sprite Builder, which is another third-party program, and then you can export your project into Xcode from there. Everything worked fine, but once I got it into Xcode, I was having a lot of trouble understanding the overall project layout to the point that I couldn't even figure out how to get it signed so I could run it on my iPad. And just because time's always a bit of an issue, and there's a lot of stuff to be done this week or this month overall, I decided to actually abandon CocoaS 2D and move over to Sprite Kit. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think there's a lot of potential there. I know there's some major drawbacks, such as not supporting custom OpenGL, which doesn't affect me for any of this, but that could be an issue in the future. It's also locked to the iOS platform. There's no cross-platform, but I think it's a big advantage to have it built into iOS, though. Overall, I think it really does what I needed to do for this project at least, and let's go ahead and get going. I did also consider libgdx for a bit at the beginning, but once I started looking around at the available documentation, the tutorials and stuff, I thought they were lacking a bit. And again, because the program is so fast-paced, and there's a lot of stuff to be done this month, I didn't want to have to spend a lot of extra time researching just to set up the basics before I could even get going on the project. So I did decide against libgdx based on that pretty early on. Overall, I am happy with Sprite Kit, though, like I said. So every time you shoot one of the UFOs, it does make it disappear, and then it keeps your score in the bottom left corner, although I do need to up the font on that for the iPad. It is using bigger assets of the fighter, the UFOs, and the laser ball for the iPad, but I did forget to up the label. You'll also notice that the label doesn't even show up until you hit your first, and the reason being is as soon as I added the label and then ran it on the iPad, for some reason the UFO stopped showing up, and I couldn't really figure out why. I haven't had a lot of time to really debug it, but I found that if I just commented out where I'm originally setting the score label to score 0, if I just comment that single line, it all of a sudden worked on the iPad. I'm not sure if it's because I'm running an older version of iOS. This has 7.0.4, I believe it is. So I'm not sure if that's the issue or not. Everything worked fine in the simulator, and the UFO showed up on the iPad prior to adding the label. But for whatever reason, that single line commented out worked. So at the moment, it does lack the score label until you hit the first, but it does function correctly after that. And I did set it up. At the moment, it's set up to as soon as one UFO makes it past you, you do lose the game. I do plan on changing that to either 3 or 5 lives, something like that, so multiple UFOs can get past you before you lose and it has to start over. So I do plan on adding the logic in for that, and then also displaying that you have 5 lives remaining, 3 lives remaining, whatever, within the scene itself. And I'm also wanting to do a lot of tweaking with the overall aesthetics and everything. I'm not really happy with the way the UFOs and the laser ball disappear at the moment. I think it looks a bit glitchy. So I'm planning on probably changing out the sprite to an explosion or something like that to help with that. And then also changing the overall the physics body of the UFO, so the laser ball actually makes it fully to it before it disappears. I'm not really happy with the explosion sound either, but that's an easy one. I just need to search around like Westar Music or something to find a better sound effect. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a really good proof, and I think it's overall it's doing pretty good. I did have a lot of help with this project from a tutorial from raywenderlich.com. I've always been really happy with their tutorials. They're very good about explaining the details, not just how to do something, but why you're doing it. So I've always been a big fan of theirs. I'll actually post the link for the tutorial I used for this in the doobly-doo down below the video here, so you guys can definitely check that out. It's a good basic Sprite Kit tutorial, and is a good starting place for this. And then I've been tweaking it since, and kind of fixing things up to where it makes more sense to me. There's a lot of complicated math that I don't know if I could have necessarily figured out on my own, at least in the time given for this project to work properly with the trajectories of the laser ball and everything like that. Anyways, that's about it. This has been Eli Freestone, week 1 of MGD, term 1411. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.